Greetings, everybody. Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft as we continue our Chronicles coverage of the beginning of the Second War. On our last one, we discussed why, if the Alliance just had the Kultiran fleet and the Orcs were essentially non-skilled as a naval power, why were they still able to bring a fleet? So they described that in terms of their control of the dragons. So that was why they had to have that all set up first, at least if we're going to retcon things. All right, here we go. Stay a while and listen to this one. It's called The Battle of Hillsbrad Foothills, 6 years after the Dark Portal. And in many ways, this is the real beginning of the war, in my opinion. With Admiral Proudmoore's fleet scattered, the Horde continued to Hillsbrad Foothills and made landfall uncontested. The Alliance's defenses were sparse. I built 4 farms and a barracks. Though the majority of the Alliance forces had reached Hillsbrad, they were in disarray. The Orcish army stormed ashore, but the red dragons who guarded the Horde's fleet refused to follow them. Necros had stayed in Grim Batal to watch over Alexstrasza, and he was not present to give the creatures new commands. He had ordered them only to protect the ships, and they would not kill any more humans than necessary. It was a small act of defiance, but it was all that the dragons could do without endangering Alexstrasza. Orgrim did not press the issue. He left the dragons where they were and marched inland. He planned to cross the Alterac Mountains to reach Capital City. It would be a difficult journey, but it was the quickest way to strike at Lordaeron. Lothar anticipated this plan. From a military standpoint, Lordaeron's capital was a target that was too good to resist. Its fall would breed division and throw the rest of the Alliance into chaos. Lothar would not let that happen. He arrayed his tired troops across Hillsbrad to bar the northern and western routes to the capital. Lothar then rallied his soldiers as best he could, but his words had little effect. He could see the fear in their eyes. This was the first time most of the humans had ever seen the hulking orcs. They were things born of nightmare. Fortunately for Lothar, the paladins had finished their training. The Holy Knights rode through the Alliance lines, their presence filling their fellow soldiers with hope and courage. The Horde's war drum sounded, and the howling mass of green-skinned warriors charged north. They smashed into the human lines with war cries on their lips and oiled blades in hand. For the first time in history, the full might of the Horde and the Alliance armies clashed. Illyria and her High Elf Rangers thinned the Horde's ranks with bow and arrow, while Lothar fought beside his paladins. Elsewhere, Khadgar and other Magi unleashed their arcane powers on the approaching orcs. The Second War had begun, and really this is like the heart of the war, because they have rangers, archers, probably catapults, ballista, elves, they have some ships, they have magi, they have paladins, they have so much. Amid the fighting, a corrosive fog crept over the battlefield. From the fetid mist, slain human soldiers rose from the dead and then launched themselves at their former comrades. At the head of this unholy army were a handful of hooded figures riding skeletal steeds. They should be used to fighting the undead that happened in the last one. The Death Knights had entered the field. They charged through the stunned human army, inflicting pain and terror on their enemies. Orgrim watched the attacks with a mix of displeasure and satisfaction. He was still uneasy about the Death Knights, but he now saw just how effective they were in combat. The mere sight of the Death Knights horrified the humans, and the Alliance lines began to crumble. It was then that a blazing white light appeared from Uther, Turalyon, and the other paladins. Waves of holy energy rippled over the Alliance soldiers, striking down the reanimated human corpses and sweeping away the Death Knight's corruptive fog. Oh, we'll look back at that picture in a second. The paladins called upon their holy powers to mend wounded soldiers and ease their fearful hearts. Filled with renewed confidence, the Alliance regrouped and slammed down on the Orcish front lines like a hammer. Sporadic battles broke out in Hillsbrad. The Horde and the Alliance were evenly matched, but Doomhammer knew that would not last forever. The longer the Orcs stayed in Hillsbrad, the more time the Alliance had to call in reinforcements from their far-flung territories. The human army was protecting the quickest routes to Lordaeron's capital. Doomhammer's only course of action was to go east and find another way to the city. For this he called on the Amani trolls. They knew the mountainous terrain well. The trolls agreed to guide the orcs, but they would not do so until Doomhammer made good on his promise to help them liberate their leader, Zul'jin. So, yes, and I mean, obviously, this makes some sense, but from the video game, we have to, introduce our units in increments, so we are making forays, and they wanted the trolls early. So this is why we've taken so long. We've taken a bunch of episodes because we have to get to this part before we can even do the next Let's Play. We have to have Zul'jin and the trolls. He's from level 2 on. He's a big part of the game. All right, let's look back at our picture because it's a sick one. This is the Alliance Paladins and other soldiers battling the Death Knights. It's pretty cool. So you've got these risen evil undead knights. They have their, as they described in the books, their scepters or whatever they were. Meanwhile, you have the Alliance Paladins, also with hoods. That's dope. Look, he's got the Libram, so this is some of their heroes. Because remember, we have the 5 main hero type paladins too. And they've got regular footmen and stuff in there. We have a hammer, cool helmets. We have a female paladin up front, a ret pally with her 2-handed sword. And then we have the Death Knight wielding the evil necrotic energy. Looks like there's skeletons and stuff being raised in the background. Just all in all, great picture. Look at that, the evil undead steed with the horns or whatever. Or maybe it's not even undead, but just super cool. Like, that is a good picture. That's art. It's one of the best ones that we've seen. Gotta say, I'm impressed by that. All right, we got another episode in the pipes, 5x5, and we're oh so close to getting to the second round of levels for the second war. Thank you for watching this one, and I'll see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft.